2023's Five Nights at Freddy's was a divisive movie. Fans loved it because it is not physically possible to get more faithful-looking versions of the series' animatronics on the big screen, but critics were left cold by its, for want of a better term, weird story. Myself, I thought it was okay. It had some fun scares, got away with a bit of gore around its PG-13 rating, and it was interesting to see the more childlike aspects of the animatronics explored, but it always felt more like a companion piece to the series rather than a proper adaptation, ditching any similarity to the games to play more like the anthology books that creator Scott Cawthon's been writing in recent years. The production team was acutely aware of the first film's mixed reception, so the sequel was retooled to actively try and be scarier, with Cawthon pushing for more creative control over the film. Did any of that help? Well, in my most humble opinion, no! A quick recap of the first film is necessary before we dig into the new one. Josh Hutcherson plays Mike Schmidt, a guy with rage issues who can't hold down a job, which is a problem because he needs to care for his orphaned sister Abby. Desperate for work, he takes a job from Matthew Lillard as the security guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a shut-down restaurant with animatronic mascots. However, Mike has made a practice out of psychic dreaming, shit that has nothing to do with the games, where he tries to solve the disappearance of his younger brother. Through these dreams, Mike learns that the animatronics are haunted by the ghosts of children who were murdered at the pizzeria, and now they murder anyone who sets foot in the place in hopes of getting their killer. But they're cool with kids because when the animatronics meet Abby, they make friends and build pillow forts. There's also a local cop named Vanessa who gives Mike vague warnings that Freddy's is more dangerous than he thinks. The animatronics try to take Abby as one of their own, while Mike figures out that his brother was killed by Matthew Lillard, Vanessa's dad and series' big bad, William Afton. Afton shows up in a powered rabbit exosuit to kill Mike and cover his crimes, but Abby helps the animatronics realize that Afton killed them too, so they turn on him and the mechanics of the bunny suit crush him to death inside, with the animatronics dragging him off to rot in the abandoned Freddy's. That should about cover the first movie, so let's dig into Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The movie opens in 1982 as Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is bustling and celebrating a birthday party, but there's a lonely girl named Charlotte who none of the other kids like too much. Charlotte sees a kid being lured into the back by Afton and tries to get some adults to help, but they all tell her to get lost. So she goes to investigate herself. She comes back with the kid who got taken and 3 stab wounds in her back. Charlotte dies just as a new animatronic, the marionette, comes up holding Charlotte in her arms. So yeah, she's haunted now. Cut to opening credits, which just show the marionette over and over, in between newspaper clippings of the original Freddy's closing down for an accidental death. Accidental? Charlotte had 3 knife wounds in her back, even by Freddy's astoundingly low OSHA standards. How the hell was that passed off as an accident? Anyway, Freddy's opened new locations, explaining why none of this was in the first movie. Okay, pretty decent opening, but don't worry, this movie has bullshit momentum where it just piles up harder and faster the further on it gets. We cut to 20 years later, definitively setting the first film in 2001, as we catch up with our leads. Abby is going to school and making friends with her wild stories of living through the first movie. Mike is painting their new house. We never find out if he has a job, but somehow his money problems from the first movie are gone. And Vanessa is struggling with PTSD nightmares of her father. Abby also has Wayne Knight teaching a robotics class in middle school, which I'm pretty sure is not a thing. All right, class, remember, we have a science fair coming up and our school are defending champions, so I expect everyone to show up! Except Abby. You really suck, so don't come. Don't mind him. Everybody hates him. We have watch parties of Jurassic Park just to see him get eaten by dinosaurs. But despite getting along well with the kids at school and having a classmate who's extremely friendly with her, Abby still ignores the kids at school in order to pine over her animatronic friends from the first film. I'd remind you that those friends tried to stuff her inside an Iron Maiden to share in their living hell for all eternity. But I digress. Setting aside that Abby already got over her antisocial problems in the first film, Abby's struggles at school never pop up again. They don't use this for a character arc, leaving Abby with 0 development as the film goes on. Also, you may remember that in the first movie, Mike and Abby had an evil aunt who got attacked by Golden Freddy. Well, it turns out that she survived, raved like a crazy person about living animatronics, and got institutionalized, and the psychotic ramblings of a crazy person have ignited a public obsession with the Freddy characters to where they're having a massive Fazbear festival 1 year later. Sure, That's how humans react to crazy people! Meanwhile, Mike and Vanessa go out to dinner. So, is this what it's like being normal? I think we've moved past normal. You know, after Freddy's. Yeah, I'm still having nightmares. From Freddy's, Abby's doing good, but she still misses her friends. From Freddy's, I know you said they're broken and you'd fix them, but you're just giving her false hope. From Freddy's, yeah, plus I have the technical expertise of a ferret. I'm surprised she hasn't called bullshit on me yet. Over Freddy's, so what are you up to? Oh, you know, just trying to move on. From Freddy's, that thing we've singularly talked about since I sat down? Yeah, it's not going well. Mike suggests to Vanessa that she might get over her nightmares if she tries the lucid psychic dreaming crap that he did in the first movie, so she falls asleep and transports herself to her childhood home. Because we needed some Matthew Lillard, even though he's not on deck until part 3. I'm not like you, Dad! I'm not scared of you anymore! Bullshit, you're not scared of me! And yeah, Matthew Lillard's barely in the movie, and still one of the best parts about it. So Dream Vanessa gets chased around the house, she hides in a closet, and she runs into Circus Baby! You know, the animatronic villain of the 5th game? 8 Afton's daughter in that game? Has jack shit to do with the plot of this movie! This is the point I wished I was watching this movie with Miles or Schnick, so I could watch them react to all the stuff that makes absolutely no sense if you're not a Freddy's fan. So you can easily track Vanessa's character development from here, right? She's given the chance to right more of her dad's wrongs, confront her trauma. I was kind of interested in the movie exploring her PTSD. Yeah, none of that happens. Vanessa's daddy issues don't come up again until the very end of the movie, and she's pretty much a plot device from here on. So that's 2 of our leads that have no character arc or development. Do I hear 3? Mike gets home to discover that Abby's left to go back to Freddy's to try and fix the old animatronics, but it turns out they're not broken. They're gone. I'm sorry, Abby. I should have told you. So, where are they? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? They just disappeared? I don't know. How the hell do you lose 5 giant lumbering killer animatronics in a small town? I don't know. And you aren't out there searching night and day for 5 fluffy Terminators before they hurt someone? No? As they head out, Mike spots a flyer for someone claiming they know the truth about the murders at Freddy's, and Abby finds a tablet called a Faz Talker. Abby uses it to try and call Chica, because, in a baffling choice, out of the 5 animatronics that Abby befriended in the first film, Chica is suddenly the only one she gives a crap about. Thanks, Abby! Meanwhile, the film remembers that this is a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and we cut over to some people filming a ghost hunting show at the original Freddy's from the opening. They're met by a security guard. Hi, my name's Michael. Welcome to the original Freddy Fazbear's. This place was way ahead of its time. The marionette could control these toy animatronics wirelessly. They never built another one, though. Foxy got disassembled as a kids' exhibit. Children can be so cruel. Are you evil? What? No. Why would you say that? Because you look like a composite sketch of every serial killer ever and you grin like the Joker. Of course I'm not evil. Now why don't you split up and wander around alone and vulnerable? So one of the ghost hunters follows a music box to the basement and turns it off, releasing the marionette and waking up the machinery of the restaurant. Alright, we've got 3 dead meats and a bunch of animatronics because, of course, Freddy's opened a new restaurant while leaving millions in equipment at the old one. How are the deaths gonna stack up? Well, one guy gets pulled underwater and dives off screen by living puppet plushies.
That's not a thing!
The cameraman gets killed by the mangle, pulling him into the ceiling with crunching noises and some barely visible guts through the camera. The only cool death in the whole movie. And the girl has the marionette stuff itself inside and pilot around her body. What? The marionette stuffs itself inside other people's bodies. Why? How? And it jams its face inside their face so that they look like the Crow. What? This is probably a reference to Ennard from Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, the 5th game. Ennard disembowels your character to wear their skin and trick the sensors that stop the animatronics from leaving the building. And now the puppet does the same because... It is literally never explained why the marionette does this or how it works. It makes no sense. even if you're a fan of the games. There needs to be a drinking game with this movie. Take a shot if you need to be a fan to understand it. Take 2 shots if being a fan makes you understand it less. That night, the Faz Talker starts talking to Abby, luring her to the original Freddy's, and she runs into Toy Chica and thinks that she's the original. Toy Chica looks like this and is voiced by Megan Fox. I think we solved the mystery of why Chica is suddenly the only one Abby cares about. And you're not going to believe me when I say this. Megan Fox is the best part of the movie. She friggin' nails Toy Chica's voice and the subtleties of her cutesy but vaguely ominous and off-putting speech to make the film's main animatronic pretty memorable. Well done! Abby's back the next morning with a robot Chica for the school science fair that the bots helped her build, as well as drawings of the original Freddy's. Vanessa, who I forget why she's even here, puts 2 and 2 together and tries to warn Mike. Look, Mike, I've got important information. I don't want to hear any more about Freddy's. I've got enough problems with Abby. Yeah, she said that the animatronics, I know she's impressionable and you're not helping her move on. It's not about moving on, Abby. No, seriously, I've got enough problems trying to fix Abby and trying to fix you. So Mike suddenly has the social grace of a crocodile and becomes a skeptical asshole out of nowhere. None of our characters have arcs or development. They're all just tools to shuffle the plot forward, even if it requires them completely shifting their entire personality to do it. So because Mike is suddenly an idiot, Vanessa investigates Freddy's alone and gets captured because otherwise the movie would end. Abby goes to the science fair with her Chica robot, but Wayne Knight just assumes that it's crap on sight and breaks it. If I had a nickel for every 2025 video game adaptation movie with an abysmal view of teachers, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Abby runs back to Toy Chica because I guess this long-lost abandoned pizzeria that only some people even know about is also within piss-easy walking and driving distance. It's okay, Abby. I'll go to your science fair as your project. Really? You think everyone will buy that I built a man-sized robot myself in 1 hour? It's a school full of hormonal teens and I'm built like a furry sex bot. They'll be too distracted to question it. All you have to do is enter a code to let us out of the building. Do you have the code? Yeah, of course I do.
You give me code now!
Wait, why haven't you entered the code? You've got fingers. You want to take a known murder bot to your school. You're too dumb to ask about codes and fingers. By the way, I think we're halfway through the movie and we're still setting up the basic premise. We're getting close though because Toy Freddy goes to that Faz Fest that they were talking about. Dude, you're totally gonna win the costume contest! So, this is how Toy Freddy sounds in the games. Excuse me, fellas, there are some bad people that I need to murder. And this is what Toy Freddy sounds like in the movie. Excuse me, there are some bad people that I need to murder. Yeah, Toy Bonnie and Toy Freddy are voiced by YouTubers who already cameoed in the first movie. Bonnie sounds fine. Freddy sounds like the dude was told he's voicing Nightmare. Chica goes to the science fair and murders Wayne Knight in private, which you'd think would be cathartic, except she just crushes his skull and the actual kill is off-screen. Mike goes to visit an old guy who still remembers the tragedy at the original Freddy's, who turns out to be Charlotte's father. And he's played by Skeet Ulrich because har har, inside joke. In the games, this character is a massively important figure who wraps the entire series in a brilliant masterstroke of revenge, even if you needed the books to explain who he is. In the movie, he literally only exists to tell Mike the pizzeria's location. Why is this dude here? Oh, and by the way, if you're going to the pizzeria, will you leave this music box for Charlotte? Oh, come on, that is at worst the 10th dumbest thing that you've heard in these movies. Mike finds the pizzeria, and as he breaks in, he finds partially demolished versions of the original 4 animatronics. My first thought was, oh, well, now we know where the characters from the first movie went. Yeah, that would have made too much sense. The marionette and the toy animatronics are gone, but Mike finds Vanessa stuffed into a locker. Why the marionette didn't just kill her when Vanessa's on her shit list, I can only chalk up to plot armor. Charlotte was murdered at this restaurant, but I kept seeing her down here after she died. She wants revenge against the adults who didn't help out when she saw a kid being lured and killed. I kept her asleep with a music box from when she was a baby, but now it's broken, and she threatened Abby to make me give her a code to escape the building. She's able to control the other robots by wireless communications, and that includes the prototypes in the back room that we kept for spare parts. But luckily we can track the animatronics and shut down their wireless communications through the office computer. And we have to hurry. The marionette needs to bond with another person to grow stronger, and now she wants Abby. You feel any lighter? No? Why? Nothing, just... I usually feel lighter after I've taken a dump that huge. I don't get... Exposition dump, lady! Mother of God! Yeah, Scott Cawthon is credited as the sole writer for the movie script, and that may have been a terrible idea. This is the guy who tried to wrap the games at Part 4 with It Was All a Dream, only to change his mind in mid-update, leave threads from Part 4 hanging, and haphazardly retcon Part 4 with an Easter egg in sister location. This is the guy who introduced the marionette in the second game as a massively important force, then did absolutely nothing with it until it shows up to die in Part 6. Probably explains why none of the characters have arcs, characters' personalities change on a dime, major plot threads and characters go nowhere, and the movie stops for minutes solid of blunt exposition to the face. Vanessa, by sheer luck and implausibility, just already knows every single last detail of what's going on, but waited to tell anybody until the plot said so. Wait, why are there no doors to this office? Because har, inside joke! Alright, it has taken like an hour of setup and barely jack shit happening, but we've finally gotten to the actual horror part of the horror movie. The toy animatronics are loose in the town, out to kill people like unstoppable slasher monsters. Mike can stop them by hacking the computer at Freddy's, but Chica hears about a security breach, har, inside joke, and activates the prototype animatronics to attack him. So while we have the slasher monsters out on the loose, Mike has to actually play Five Nights at Freddy's 2, repelling animatronics with a spare Freddy head while working the computer. It's like everything I ever wanted from a Five Nights at Freddy's movie! And it's over in about 10 minutes. And what little we get sucks! I mean, yeah, Mike gets caught a few times by the animatronics, but they're so ridiculously slow that it takes several whole minutes for one to try and kill him. It's more funny than actually scary. I'm here! Kill me! I'm here! Hell, Mike just straight up rips Balloon Boy's head off. Har, inside joke, but it utterly defangs the horror that these things are supposed to have. As for the animatronics out in the wild, we get a decent scene of Mangle attacking Vanessa's car, but that's it. Freddy and Bonnie break into some houses to menace people, but nobody scores a kill. They just stand there going, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you. Vanessa slams the brakes to hurl Mangle into Freddy, and Mike hacks the computer before Bonnie does anything. Am I the only one who feels cheated here? You spend the whole movie building up these killer robots going on a rampage, and then there's practically zero rampage! I think part of the problem is that while the animatronic puppets look mind-blowing, actually having them perform physical tasks risks damaging the equipment. The crew admitted that the cupcake got most of the action in the first film because it was the only character that was easy to work with. That's probably why Mangle gets the only 2 good attack scenes in the sequel. It can get away with being mostly off-screen for its action. I've lost hope, man. There is nothing the movie can do to recover at this point. The entire hook sold by the trailers just died with a wet fart. So they figure out Abby and Chica are at Mike's house, Chica having not shut down with the others because the marionette's inside her, I guess. Mike and Vanessa head over, but somehow the toy animatronics kick back on like 2 seconds after Mike shut them off. It's no use, Mike. We can't stop that many animatronics on our own. You know, Freddy's is not that far away. I could just turn around and shut them down again. We're helpless against these animatronics. We need help. They went down easy to tasers in the last movie. Aren't you still a cop? There's nothing we can do unless we get help. So Mike drives to the Freddy's from the first movie. Hey guys, Abby needs your help. If you're really your friends, you'll come help her. And believe it or not, this plan works. So, at the start of the movie, they went to the ruined Freddy's and made a huge deal that the animatronics had been gone for a long time now. And now you tell me the animatronics were there this whole time. They've just been ignoring you for a whole year? This is such an ungodly, cheap ass pull. It feels like Scott just forgot what he wrote earlier in his own script. Vanessa gets to Mike's house to find that the marionette has entered Abby's body, so she looks like Art the Clown, and now she can float. I'm sorry, you had me at robots possessed by the souls of dead children, but you lost me at robot can do polymerization to fuse with another human body and make them levitate. Also, why was the marionette so hell-bent on possessing Abby? The two have zero connection, and Abby doesn't have any special powers other than being antisocial. And if the marionette does want Abby so bad, why didn't she grab Abby when she was alone in the pizzeria? So you'd think Abby would be dead now, since the marionette has, among other things, shoved her face inside of Abby's face. But Mike busts in with the music box and the puppet just leaves Abby's body and runs down a hallway. That was it. Main villain's been defeated. And of course, Abby is perfectly fine when the marionette leaves her body. Yeah, that makes sense, given the character we're referencing in the games had to disembowel people to use their bodies. But then the toy animatronics break into the house and surround our heroes, and in walks Michael. I am Michael Afton, brother of Vanessa, son of the great serial killer William Afton, and here to take his place as a master killer. I helped whip up the public frenzy of Freddy Fazbear's characters to launch FazFest as a cover so these murder bots and I can kill the entire town without anybody noticing us. Okay. Are there any other massive secrets I should know about? Excuse me, big villain here. Yeah, I'll get to you in a minute. Do you have a complex or something? Wait, you're mad at me? What did I do? What did you do? Oh, hey, Mike. Sorry, I forgot to mention, but my dad's a serial killer who's been trying to get you killed, and he made an army of possessed murder bots that are about to kill your sister. That ring a bell? How about, oh, hey, Mike, this might be a bad time since we're all about to die, but I've known for 2 decades that there's a second army of murder bots who want to kill you, led by my childhood friend who turned into a murder bot who's also after your sister. And then, for an encore, hey, Mike, turns out I have a secret brother who's also a loony serial killer. That's a bit harsh. And he also wants to kill you and your sister. Sorry I forgot to bring it up until we're all about to die. What's next? Do you have a second top secret brother who died and became a pissed off Terminator because a talking plush toy gave him a magic box or something? I mean, probably. Oh my God! How do you make even less sense than the character we're doing over? Burn. And you! Douchebag shows up once all movie and wants to pretend he's the main villain now? Why do you even want to kill the whole town? To be like your dad, the raging douche canoe? I don't know, it just seemed fun, really. Even if we buy that this was totally your plan all along, what part of that plan required waking up the marionette who had first dibs on your robot army until we stopped her? I think she's still in the house, by the way. Are we meant to guess that you needed the marionette to capture Vanessa to get a code, which she miraculously memorized as a small child and remembered after 20 years? You couldn't find old manuals and look up the code yourself? Crack a book, you lazy son of a bitch! This is the most convoluted, stupid-ass plan I've ever heard! I thought you'd be more pissed that I'm a hero in the video games. Priorities, asswipe! We cut over to a different movie for your mount of grade A bullshit, and nothing in this movie makes any sense! Okay, continue. So Michael sicks the toy animatronics on our heroes, but the originals come to fight the toy animatronics and save the day. And there was this brief glimmering moment of hope where I was psyched up like we're gonna have a robot brawl that demolishes the house like it's furry Transformers. And then every toy animatronic goes down in one hit. There was no climax. This movie cock-teased you for a second or third time. Michael gets away, and then the old animatronics start dying because they can't leave the pizzeria. Oh, gee, that's weird considering that didn't stop Golden Freddy in the first movie! Come to think of it, where is Golden Freddy? This movie keeps forgetting that there were 5 murdered kids, and the 5th one just never gets mentioned. TV Tropes claims that Golden Freddy is the kid who shows up, but, how are we meant to know that? By the way, Mike, with us gone, he's going to escape and he'll be even stronger. Wait, he who? Who do you think, dumbass? No, you can't leave. You're my friends. I mean, mostly Chica, but you're my friends. No, it's okay. We're all going to heaven now. It's all good. You know, part of what makes the Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics such compelling horror characters is the tragedy of their situation. And it's not just the whole dead kids thing. They're locked inside these cold robotic bodies, locked inside a pizzeria that's falling apart and rotting. They're basically trapped between life and death in this purgatory that has no end. They can't move on, and there's no end to their suffering in sight. It's probably why this series has such a huge connection to the LGBT plus community. I know they have a big fan base, because being stuck in a body that's not yours is a theme that resonates with them. And now this movie means to tell us that they could have left and moved on and gone on to heaven at literally any time by just taking 2 steps outside and letting nature run its course. How do you botch the themes of your own franchise this badly? It's this is crap you'd expect from someone who's never heard of Five Nights at Freddy's, and this was written by the series creator! This also, of course, means the impetus of the first film was complete bullshit because, again, nothing was stopping the animatronics from just leaving and saving themselves this entire time. So the animatronics die, Mike leaves with Abby and tells Vanessa to leave them alone, then the marionette jumps out and possesses Vanessa, and the movie ends. It's seriously paced to where this damn thing just cuts off without the actual villain being defeated, like an extra climax hit the cutting room floor to save time. And I can't stress enough that this ending hinges on our heroes being so rock stupid that they just forgot that the marionette was still in the house! Didn't bother chasing it down with the one weapon that could stop it, they just shrug and leave. But of course, that's not the end. There's a freaking long sequence in the credits where some teens break into the first movie's location to find stuff to open a horror attraction, and they find the bunny suit with Matthew Lillard inside, with the camera teasing his appearance for a full minute of screen time. It is so blatantly obvious that part 3 is what they really want to do in the films, but they needed a filler chapter in between them. And that's the end of Five Nights at
Leaving Dead Space. 3, 2, 1. Hello, Mike. It's Henry, Charlotte's father from earlier in the movie, leaving a cassette like in the 6th game to play over the credits. I just wanted to tell you that I was William Afton's business partner and that Charlotte is still coming after you. I'm going to die now, having been completely useless to the films, and you're not going to know which villain killed me. Bleh.
You know, that Cassette Man reference describes the movie perfectly. A superficial reference to the games that doesn't mean crap in the actual film. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a car crash of a bad movie, and the problems pretty much all stem from the script. It flits between barely connected plots, taking ages to set up the actual horror part of the movie, only to cop out of actually giving you the stuff you came for in any meaningful dosage. None of the characters have arcs, the dialogue is clunky and terrible, it constantly breaks its own rules, the main villain is stupid, massive plot developments go absolutely nowhere, most of the iconic characters show up to do nothing, and the characters turn into morons or change personalities on a whim to force the plot to where it needs to go. It builds up major characters only for them to do nothing, it cuts off with barely a resolution, and did anyone else notice that they spent the whole movie building up a festival over the Freddy Fazbear characters, only to barely show it and have it play into nothing? And I talked non-fan Miles into seeing the movie, He added that the film had zero atmosphere.
He's right, making me wonder if director Emma Tammy's basically been reduced to work for hire on a tight leash.
And his brain melted trying to figure out why Michael is supposed to be important. And I know it's a fan's dream come true to see the video game characters come to life, but if you count the cameos, there are 16 animatronics in this movie, and only 3 of them actually get to do something. They're only around to be recognized, not to do the stuff that you came here to see. And the thing that kills me is that this should have been easy. The video game Five Nights at Freddy's 2 takes place before the place is a completely haunted shithole. You could have just made a movie about some kids about to leave for college or something, taking a summer job at Freddy's. At first, the animatronics are friendly, but as the week goes on, the murders begin, the marionette begins making its influence known, and the animatronics get more and more creepy and hostile, and nobody knows why, steadily building unease and tension. For the climax, you have the cast locked inside the building with all the robots in full murder mode, and they have to survive for hours. Maybe cops raid the place so you have a full buffet of red shirts for the animatronics to rack up kills. I am fully convinced that a person can write a great Five Nights at Freddy's movie and still keep it faithful. I am also convinced that Scott Cawthon is not that person. So Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is probably coming in another 2 years. I mean, they already have the suits made for it going by this film. And unless someone boots Cawthon off writing duties, we might just be right back here in 2027.
Lights flicker and the shadows crawl. I wear the face of my